The moment you speak your mind in anger, you aren't being honest. You're committing intellectual suicide. You know that cold dread that hits 5 minutes after you've won an argument? Your heart is still pounding, but your respect is already in ashes because you couldn't stay silent for 60 seconds. But have you ever wondered why, even knowing the price, your mind betrays you every single time? If you're tired of the mental hangover of regret and the exhaustion of constantly burning bridges, this story is about you. Tonight, we're going to walk through the three-breath gate. You're about to discover an ancestral secret to quenching your internal fire and reclaiming the quiet power that your reactions have been stealing from you. However, before you can master this power, you must first face the invisible burden that is currently crushing your potential. A weight so heavy it's actually changing your physical chemistry without you realizing it. What Elias discovered in the silence of his car is something most men take to their graves. Elias sat in the stifling silence of his car, his knuckles still white against the steering wheel. The adrenaline was ebbing away, replaced by a hollow, freezing dread in the pit of his stomach. He had won the argument, yet he'd never felt more like a man who'd lost everything. His chest felt like a caved-in roof, heavy with the words he'd just hurled like stones. This was his ritual, a relentless cycle of burning bridges before he even crossed them. He'd snap, feel like a god for 5 seconds, and then endure a hangover of rage, more brutal than any drink. But here is the truth Elias hadn't realized yet. Every time he shouted, he wasn't just losing his temper. He was picking up a massive, jagged stone that didn't belong to him and placing it directly onto his own soul. He looked in the rearview mirror and saw a stranger. People walked on eggshells around him, not out of respect, but out of weary caution. He was a slave to his own chemistry, a ticking clock in a room full of people who just wanted peace. The invisible burden he carried was the weight of every bridge he'd ever set ablaze. And if he didn't find a way to drop these stones soon, the foundation of his life was about to crumble into a pile of ash. But how do you stop the fire when it's already burning your throat? Elias was about to meet a man named Soren, who would show him a test so simple it felt like a joke, yet so powerful it could silence a storm. You won't believe what Soren made him do with a single drop of liquid. Elias sought out a master named Soren, expecting to be taught how to crush his enemies and win his wars. Instead, he found an old man mending a shattered bowl with gold. Soren gave him a challenge that felt like a cruel joke. Watch a single drop of lacquer dry on a piece of ceramic without saying a word. For 20 minutes, Elias felt the words bubbling in his throat, the excuses, the justifications, the honesty that was really just a lack of filters. Every time he tried to speak, Soren simply stopped and waited for the stillness to return. Elias realized he was using noise to outrun the silence of his own soul, desperately trying to ignore the invisible burden of the stones he was carrying. This silence was a mirror, and Elias hated the reflection. He began to see that his words were leaks in his own reservoir of strength. But Soren was preparing a much darker lesson. Just as Elias started to feel a cooling sensation in his chest, the master reached for a bowl of gray, gritty powder that would change the way Elias viewed his own voice forever. You see, most people fail to control their anger because they don't understand what happens to their wisdom the moment they open their mouths. Soren was about to force Elias to taste his own rage, literally. And the sensation is something you'll never forget once you hear what it felt like. Soren reached for a shallow clay bowl filled with a fine gray powder, the remains of a forgotten fire. Every time you let your tongue become a whip, you're dining from this, the master said. He commanded Elias to take a pinch and place it directly onto his tongue. Instantly, Elias's world shrank. The salt acted like a sponge, aggressively drawing the life and moisture from his tissues, while the ash turned into a dry, clumping mud that coated the roof of his mouth. This is what we call killed wisdom, the moment your insight is strangled by your own heat. When he tried to speak, all that emerged was a pathetic, grainy puff of dust. Soren leaned in close. You think you're being real, but you're just spreading the dryness of your own dessert. Elias realized that his honesty was actually a poison he was forced to swallow first. But there was something even more disturbing that Soren hadn't mentioned yet. A hidden reason why we keep choosing the ash even when it chokes us. You see, most people are addicted to the heat of the fire because they don't know how to handle the coldness of the stones they carry. Before you can truly wash this grit away, you must learn the grit check, a ritual that determines if you are the master of your words or their prisoner. And the final transformation Elias was about to undergo involves a secret about brokenness that changes everything. Soren held up the kintsugi bowl, where gold veins traced the paths where the ceramic had once failed. It wasn't just mended, it was elevated. The scars were now a map of resilience. Elias realized that beauty doesn't come from being unbroken, but from how we choose to heal. Fire in the heart sends smoke into the brain, Soren whispered. When your emotions boil, your clarity vanishes. You can't see the path ahead through the soot of anger. Silence is the cooling period that turns raw iron into a blade that can actually cut through lies. Elias drank the mountain water, washing the grit away and feeling the salt dissolve into nothingness. He realized that every time he lost his cool, he was trading long-term respect for a few seconds of hollow relief. Real kings don't shout, they whisper, because they know their word is the final law of their soul. To master this, you must step through the 3-breath gate. Breath 1. Let the smoke clear so you can see the other person's pain. Breath 2. Feel the grit of your potential words and decide if they are worth the foul taste. Breath 3. Release the need to be right and choose to be at peace. Elias walked out ready to fill his cracks with gold instead of ash. But while the 3-breath gate is a powerful shield, there is a final secret to ensuring you never pick up those heavy stones again. A way to transform your entire life into a sanctuary that no one can disturb. I'm about to show you the exact blueprint to stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, and it starts with a choice you must make before the sun rises tomorrow. Elias walked out of that workshop into a world that looked the same, but felt entirely different. The storm inside his ribcage had finally met its match in the silence. He realized that the game isn't about winning the argument, it's about never losing your soul to the fire. But what about you? Many of the stories you hear here aren't just stories. They reflect the invisible weight you may be carrying every day. You've seen how the mouthful of ash can turn your brightest wisdom into a dry, bitter desert. You've felt the exhaustion of scorching bridges just to feel a temporary heat that leaves you cold. If you're tired of holding pain, responsibility, and guilt that were never yours, I created a guide for your specific journey called The Weight of Stones That Are Not Yours. This is the mountain water for your parched throat. It's for those who, like Elias, want to let go of the mental hangover, set boundaries that act as a wall of glass, and finally live with the lightness of a soul that is no longer a volcano. When you get the ebook today through the link in the description or the pinned comment, I'm also including 2 vital tools to help you master your internal fire. Bonus 1, learning to let go. The practical ritual to stop the smoke from entering your brain so you can see your path clearly. Bonus 2, when saying no is an act of self-love. The blueprint for stopping others from dumping their stones into your life in the first place. Your silence isn't a void, it's a fortress. Stop being a slave to your chemistry and start being the master of your house. The link is waiting for you below. Let's wash away the ash together.